All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of A Round for the Weekend. It is currently 4:45 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon here in upstate New York, and I'm going to dig into some of this really cool beer I got. So, welcome to the weekend. Well, we're at the tail end of the weekend, but I figured I might as well do a special edition because I had some fun with a new friend of the BELLYUP Sports Podcast Network the other day. So, if you get a chance, go watch the clip from the Rod Peterson show. I was on that show on Friday. It was a fun time, and I'm looking forward to making another appearance, hopefully very soon, with the Albany lacrosse team named the Firewolves. So it's going to be it's a fun experience being on the Rod Peterson show. My guest actually has had him on his podcast, so we'll get into that in just a moment. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and bring in our guest. So my guest this today is none other than Jason, host of the Puck and Pigskin podcast. Jason, how are we doing today, buddy?
We are doing good. We got some snow here overnight and throughout the day, but it's disappearing fast now that the temperature is getting above zero. Other than that, there's no pugs around, and forgive me, but I haven't watched this show yet. So I didn't realize that we were actually supposed to bring her around. So all I got is water.
That's okay. That's okay. Cheers.
Shameless product placement.
Yeah, right. Well, even though our show isn't sponsored by it, this show isn't sponsored by it. We still, BELLYUP Sports still has loose affiliation with Yeti. So, but tell the nice folks at home who you are, where you're from, and what you do with BELLYUP.
Well, I'm Jason. I'm originally from Regina, Saskatchewan, born and raised. Moved a few times from place to place, Calgary, Victoria, Calgary, Red Deer. I'm currently in Red Deer, Alberta. And just Rod Peterson, you mentioned earlier. I started watching Rod Peterson's show probably about a year ago now. And big inspiration for me to start a similar podcast talking about, local sports, Western Canadian sports, branch out a little bit into NFL and stuff like that as well. But he does it live, of course, every day. But yeah, definitely a big influence on me starting a podcast. And he's a great guy too, as you know.
Now, Jason, what do you do with BELLYUP? Because how'd you actually find BELLYUP Sports?
How did I find BELLYUP Sports? I think I actually saw a post from Shannon and the Slapshot Sweethearts.
Slapshot, oh my gosh.
And so I went to check out.
I'm so sorry, that was funny. That was unintentional, but that was funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going, buddy. I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness. So yeah, I went. Great start. I saw a tweet that they posted, so I went to their account to check out the kind of stuff that they post. Mm-hmm. And I saw a post from Shannon, I believe it was, that said that they were hiring writers. So I immediately inquired about it, and went through all the process and got on as a writer at BELLYUP. I had already had my podcast in the planning stages already. But yeah, eventually I joined the podcast network officially just a couple weeks ago. Nice.
And what is your podcast generally about? I mean, because I was on your podcast last week talking some sports. So what is it's pretty much a dead giveaway as to what it is, but give the folks at home some idea of, or wherever they are, an idea of what your podcast is about.
Yeah, I originally wanted to do a podcast kind of reporting on all sports, giving scores and having guests on and stuff. Then I got to thinking that there's a billion podcasts out there that are doing that exact same thing. So then I also figured, I don't know a whole lot about baseball or basketball. Mm-hmm. I know a bit about NFL. I'm getting back into it. But what I really know most is NHL and CFL football. So I figured I want to focus on those two, but still have the rest in there as well, sprinkled in. So that's basically it. NHL, CFL.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we were. I was like I said. I know I was on your podcast last week. If you go to YouTube or you go to generally any podcast platform, right, Jason?
Yep, I'm on them all.
All right. So if you go to any general podcast network platform like Spotify, Spreaker, actually we just moved over to Spreaker a while ago. iTunes, you can find the podcast there. You can also find it on YouTube as well. Jason's got a YouTube channel for the Puck and Pigskin podcast. So let's talk about just talk about some general sports topics. I figure we could talk about hockey a little bit because both our teams. My team's quasi tanking. Your team is kind of on the rise right now. You're trying to make a push to the playoffs. And being from Canada, it's a huge sport. Tell us a little bit about what you're feeling on the Calgary Flames is right now.
Well, as you know, we went through a coaching change probably about 15 games ago now. I think I'm not certain. Things weren't going well for quite a while, and then we made a coaching change to a previous coach, which took us to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2004, which we won, by the way. That goal was in, and we started to slide. We won the first three, I believe, under his coaching, and then we started to slide a lot. I think we lost him. It was some ridiculous number, 9 out of 11, or it was pretty terrible. We started to slide a lot. We picked it up after the trade deadline. Won 3 in a row, I believe. Things started to look really good, and then we just lost again last night. So. So, yeah, hard to say where things are going to go from here. I'm hoping that things are going to go pretty well. We didn't lose last night. It was Friday night to Montreal. It was only 2-1, so that's not too bad. So, yeah, it's tough to say where exactly they're going to go from here. I'm hoping they can string together a few more streaks and catch the Canadians. I think we're only...
We're 6 points back right now.
Yeah, we're only 6
but
points.
Montreal has 2 games in hand. So
we also play them, I think, 4 more times, so or 3 more times.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible. Is it likely? I don't know.
Well, as you can see on the screen, folks, I have a screenshot here of Jason's podcast, the Puck and Pigskin podcast. As you can see, is part of the BELLYUP Sports Podcast Network, as is our streaming show here. Although I don't record the audio for this particular podcast. Man, other podcasts, no credentials required. That's going to be launching. We're doing a launch pretty soon of that. But yeah, we've had 3 or 4 episodes so far. What can we expect for episode 4?
Episode 4, I actually just recorded yesterday, and I had on the show one of the local guys here that also has a CFL podcast, Travis Kuroff from the Two and Out podcast.
Love that dude.
And we talked to CFL legend Nick Lewis, who played for the Calgary Stampeders and Montreal Alouettes. And nice. I actually also yesterday interviewed the CEO of Symbol, who we have partnered with on BELLYUP, just to get him on to kind of discuss what Symbol's all about and how it works. And it looks really cool. It's basically stock trading, except instead of trading stocks, you're trading sports teams. You invest in sports teams, and when they win, you win.
Get those tendies.
Yeah. So that's going to be a pretty cool thing, I think, when they get NHL in there.
Well, hopefully nobody shorts our respective teams and makes a bunch of money off of it, like it was with Robin Hood and GameStop. Now, I just want to briefly discuss my team, the New Jersey Devils. As you can see, I'm a big New Jersey Devils fan, have been since I was about 10 years old. However, right now they're just about to get swept 4 games in a row by the New York Rangers, who are making leaps and who are advancing by leaps and bounds in the Eastern Conference or East Division. Sorry, the Mass Mutual East Division. Sorry, I keep forgetting that little moniker here. But I wrote an article on BELLYUP just a few days ago about which 4 teams to watch in the NHL playoff race, and the Rangers were one of them. They're 6 points behind Boston. I figure, and Boston still has a game in hand, so I don't know if they'll catch them, but it'll be a real interesting thing to see come the next couple weeks, especially after the
Well,
trade deadline happened and after every lineup is kind of set to see who gets hot at the right time. I know their goaltending's been pretty solid, but then again, New Jersey can't score goals, so
can I just interject for a second and just let you know that New Jersey is also losing right now to New York 3-1.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. But I guess that's why I said they're about to lose 4 straight to the Rangers,
man,
which is a bitter pill to swallow, especially the way the season has gone for the Devils after the roundabout with COVID and all that stuff going and all that stuff happening. They've had to play basically 4 games every week since they came back, which is kind of a bummer. It's like playing junior hockey, or it's like playing high school hockey again, where you got to play like 3-4 games a week. It's crazy. I mean, but I know their draft standing is going to be kind of limited. They won't be able to win the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft this year because of the new rules. Because even if they finish, I mean, at this juncture, if they keep losing the way they do, Buffalo's going to catch them. Buffalo's going to catch them and surpass them, and that's wrong. Sad. That's sad. Considering Buffalo lost 18 games in a row, or went winless in 18 straight games this season. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens in the draft. So maybe we can get themselves another defenseman. There's that one, and I'm looking at that one kid from Michigan who's high up in the draft, who's projected to go at least at the top 5 in the NHL draft. He was one of the best defensemen in the NCAA this year. Hopefully the Devils will take a look at him for the draft. But I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now, updated as of yesterday. The Discover Central is such a fun division to watch, especially to the top 3 with Carolina, Florida, and Tampa. They're fighting for that number 1 spot. Then you got Nashville, Chicago, and Dallas fighting for the 4th spot. That's a fun division to watch. Jason, you're in teams in the North Division. What's your impression of what's going on in the North Division? I know Vancouver's had some COVID issues themselves recently, where basically 20 players wound up testing positive for COVID, that's unprecedented. But this is a weird season. This is a weird season. So, but what's your feeling about the North? Who do you see winding up on top come mid-May when the playoffs start?
Well, Toronto has led this division for most of the season, and it's looking like with the additions of guys like Foligno and David Riddick and guys coming back off injury like Austin Matthews, once they have a full lineup again, I think they're going to be pretty unstoppable myself. So I'm seeing Toronto probably finishing first. Second and third, Winnipeg and Edmonton, they may flip-flop once or twice. Not really going to matter there who finishes where, except, who plays who in the playoffs. Calgary has a sniff of catching Montreal, as we talked about, but I personally don't think it's going to happen as much as I would love for it to happen. So I'm thinking Montreal's going to snag that final spot. And the Canucks, I don't think they're going to catch up with all the games that they've missed. And Ottawa, Ottawa's only a point behind Vancouver, but I don't see them catching up either. So,
but here's the thing: Vancouver's only had 37 games. Ottawa's played 45.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's in regards to the catch up.
It's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see if enough teams have missed enough games, whether the end of the season they go by points percentage as opposed to total points. I don't know how that's going to play out. I haven't worked out the numbers, but I know that may change some of the positions a little bit, but probably not a whole lot.
I would like to offer an apology to the Winnipeg Jets, if I may, public apology. before the beginning of the season, I did a season preview on BELLYUPSports.com for the North Division. I had Calgary finishing first. I had Edmonton finishing second, Montreal third, Toronto fourth, Winnipeg missing it completely. I'd like to issue a public apology to the city of Winnipeg, to the Winnipeg Jets, and the Winnipeg Jets supporters for doubting them. Because at the point of the season where they traded Patrick Laine for Pierre-Luc Dubois and a bag of pucks and a backup practice net, I thought they were going to miss the playoffs. I thought my prediction was going to come true. But apparently they caught fire at the right time after Pierre-Luc Dubois came back, and now they're in the position where they are 3 points out of first place in the North Division, and they're vying for that first playoff spot. So again, to the city of Winnipeg, to the Winnipeg Jets, to their players, their fans, their coaching staff, I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a shootout to the finish there for first and second in the North. If Connor Hellebuyck plays like he has been playing, he's looking pretty unstoppable. Toronto's goaltending situation is good, really good, but confusing. Their number one is out. Their new number one is Jack Campbell, and then Riddick came, and he's kind of been not bad. So,
may I add, projected starting goaltender for the United States hockey team in the 2022 Olympics. Connor Hellebuyck, at least according to me.
You're probably not far off there, and if things continue the way they are right now, another strong contender for another Vezina, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. I was about to say he won the Vezina last year, so I would not be surprised if he wins another one this year, considering Winnipeg's very strong March in February, and they're keeping that momentum going. He's been part of the reason why Winnipeg is in the position they are right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to make a bold prediction and say the Vezina finalists are going to be Hellebuyck, maybe Grubauer. Although, no, he's injured now, isn't he? So
Varlamov, Simeon Varlamov. Don't forget about him. He's had a pretty good season on the island.
Yeah. I would also include Marc-Andre Fleury in there. He's played pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hellebuyck and Fleury, and Varlamov is he's always in the conversation as well. So
yeah, definitely in that conversation. And Andrei Vasilevsky from almost San Jose, Tampa Bay. He's had a really solid season. Although you could probably put for the Panthers. I can't remember his name, but let me look at the roster. Hold on a second.
I'm looking too because I just saw the Panthers name and I was like, oh, they got
Chris Driedger. Chris Driedger from the Panthers. I would put him in consideration too, considering the job he's done filling in for very overpriced goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the hockey season's coming to a swift end very, very soon, within the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be fun to see which teams are going to be vying for the number 1 or number 4 playoff spot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting at the end when all the teams that have played more games are done, and then they have to wait for the teams that have to catch up. I wonder how long that wait period is going to be.
Well, let me just say in the Discover Central, we got Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay. They're all competing for 1, 2, and 3. Nashville, Chicago, and don't look now, but the Dallas Stars are 2 or 3 points behind Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of regret writing that article about watching Nashville. They've dropped. Let's see, what's their streak now? They've dropped 2 in a row since I wrote that article on BELLYUP Sports.
Can you please write an article about the Maple Leafs then?
Vince Stover is not going to be happy with me because I said that watch out for the Nashville's going to be kind of dangerous leading up to the playoffs. They might be a sleeper, but unfortunately, his Nashville Predators have been slumping since I wrote that article. So, apologies to Vince Stover from the Sports Stove podcast if he's watching.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard for me because I don't have the NHL package on TV, so I don't see any of these other teams play outside the North Division. I just see what I see on highlights. I know Nashville's been on a hot streak, and now they've, like you said, lost 2 in a row. Chicago, I don't really know what they've been doing.
They won. They beat Detroit last night.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, I think Stamkos is out for the remainder of the season now, I believe I heard yesterday.
But Nikita Kucherov is on his way back. Raise your hand if you forgot.
Yeah.
If you forgot he was on the IL and you forgot he was coming back.
Yeah. Carolina and Florida, I think, well, Tampa Bay could challenge for the first spot too. That is a fun division, those top 3, man.
Carolina has 2 games in hand over Florida and 1 game in hand over Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be tight. With Kucherov coming back, I hate to say the cliche phrase, but it's going to come down to goaltending, I think. It just does. As much as there's people out there that say you can't win with just goaltending, you can.
You can if they get hot at the right time.
If the goaltending's good, you're going to win games. So,
all right. So we're going to transition over to the greatest touchdown pass ever, and we kind of touched on this before we went on the air. Jason, what do you think is the greatest touchdown pass ever thrown?
Well, when you asked me the question earlier, my first thought that came to mind, so it must be my answer, has got to be Doug Flutie playing in college, the Hail Mary pass, of course. But apparently you're going to show me something that's going to blow my mind.
All right, so let me go ahead and bring this up. This was from the Delaware-Villanova game yesterday afternoon, because we are playing NCAA the football championship series, which is basically the Division I AA. They are playing. Most of their divisions are playing in the spring. So this came down to the wire in the Colonial Athletic Division game between Delaware and Villanova. Behold its glory. Oh, hang on. Actually, let me share the audio too. I forgot to do that. My bad. My bad. Share audio. Okay, here we go.
One with Daniel Smith taking it. They're throwing it, Steve. Daniel Smith will run. He's taken down.
That's a touchdown. He flipped it up in the air.
He threw it up into the air.
You see that?
Wow. He got rid of it just in time.
He was going to get.
I'll play it again.
Play it again.
It's autoplay, so watch out. Watch this.
Steve. Daniel Smith
getting tripped up.
He's taken
Touchdown.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, that was pretty good.
I want to play it one more time. I wish I could play some slow motion. So here's the point where you see the linebacker come off the edge because he's not fooled by the RPO. Here's his open man right here. And I'll play it off in slow motion. So
yeah,
quarterback gets tripped up right about here. And in a desperation move, he's just going to toss it in the air.
Wow, he actually did mean to do that.
And the catch.
Wow. At first look, I didn't think he meant to do that. I thought maybe the ball kind of jarred loose and happened to go that direction, but he
was just trying to get rid of it. He was just trying to get rid of it. All right, we'll play it one more time. And
that may be the greatest touchdown pass ever.
One with Daniel Smith taking it. They're throwing.
Yep, there's the actually he's inside the middle linebacker coming in. He was not fooled at all, but still gets it away.
Wow! He got rid of it just in time.
He was going to get.
Wow!
Incredible.
That is incredible.
And if you want a breakdown of said touchdown pass, we have an article by our very own Matt Cerniak. We call him Cern. He's actually a two-time participant around for the weekend, talking some football. He's a big Miami Dolphins fan, but every once in a while he'll make an appearance on the written side and write some articles about some things that happened in football that were great and that blew his mind. And he happened to write an article about this particular touchdown pass. So go to bellyupsports.com, check out that stuff, check out his article. He's always a very entertaining writer. Always never fails to entertain. That's for sure on the written side. All right, so some odds and ends. I'm gonna throw some stuff at you, Jason. Are you paying attention to the NFL draft at all?
Not really yet. I was gonna pay attention once the draft rolled around, but I haven't paid any attention to the roll up or the pre-draft stuff. So the only thing that I have in my memory bank at the moment is the big deal made last week, I believe, Miami and San Francisco, and they swapped some picks, and I believe
that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, San Francisco ended up with the number 3 pick, and yeah, I definitely need to get back into the NFL news and stuff. But yeah,
we're about 13. No, we're about 11 days out from the first round.
Yeah,
of the NFL draft. It's coming up quickly, thankfully. But one of my favorite personalities from ESPN, he's a former New York Jet. He's probably one of my favorite offensive linemen, period, of all time. Damien Woody. Are you familiar with him?
Dinwiddie?
Damien Woody.
Damien Woody, no.
Okay. He made a really good point, and I'm trying to find it in my Twitter feed here. Basically about all the mock drafts. Do you pay attention to any of the mock drafts?
I was actually looking at one kind of just momentarily here to see. Oh no, that's not a mock draft. No, I see them post occasionally on Twitter, but I don't actually pay attention to them at the present time. But yeah, like I said, I got to get back into it.
Well, I'm just gonna. I mean, mock drafts always seem to happen all the time because football season is NFL at least is going to be regular season, playoffs, regular season, postseason, off season. It's like that. I mentioned that I mentioned that to Rod Peterson. I said, that's the way the NFL is. It's regular season, postseason, off season. It's just, especially with ESPN and everything. It's just every single day. It's a conversation about the NFL. But I'm trying to find his tweet. It was really interesting.
Rod Peterson actually said one time, he says, what do NFL fans talk about during the offseason? They talk about the NFL.
Exactly. He's talking about the NFL. That's exactly right. Okay. This is what he said on Twitter. I'll share it with you. He wrote, and I completely agree with this tweet. So I'm at the point. It's a quote. I'm at the point where I really need the draft to happen already. The overanalyzing of some of these guys is leaving me feeling salty about this whole thing. Bottom line, good coaches figure out the things you do well and accentuate those strengths. I'm actually gonna like it right now. I thought I liked it, but like, shout out for the people. Actually, no, I retweeted it. I said, shout out for the people in the back. Like, it's a great point.
It is a great point because the NFL, don't get me wrong, the NFL is a great product. They're a huge presence, but they overproduce everything and they market everything. And yeah, but it's working.
It does work. It does work. No, I don't disagree. But yeah, at some point, because we're 11 days out from the draft. The draft's happening next Thursday night. The first round happens next Thursday night. Second and third round is Friday night. And I think the last 5 rounds after that, 4 through 7, or last 4 rounds, 4 through 7, happen on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, at some point, man, the mock drafts and the analysis, it's just it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming, and it gets kind of discouraging to look at because some of those guys who are predicted first rounders won't go into the second round. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just it's I I get his point, and I fully support it.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's a lot of production that goes into a lot of politics. I think go into it. Some politics, but yeah, the draft, the the talent pool is so huge that it's almost impossible for every great player to go in the first round. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think I read somewhere that they're expecting quarterbacks to go 1, 2, and 3. I think I saw. Yeah,
Possibly, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. That's a no brainer there. But I think there's
And
a lot of debate between who goes number 2.
Yeah, 2 and 3. I've heard different things. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm interested mostly in who San Francisco picks and why they're picking high drafted quarterback when they have Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm interested to know if something's going on there.
Because Jimmy Garoppolo is like the Aaron Judge of football. He gets paid a lot of money, but he's mid class.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because he's a talented quarterback. I mean, we've seen what he can do when he's healthy. I mean, he led the 49ers to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, and he remained healthy basically most of the season. So last year was a bad year for him because they had there's a lot of. I mean, every elite player seemed to be injured at one point or another last year because we didn't have off-season workouts. We didn't have a preseason, so these players could get warmed up and get some reps in before the full season begins. That happened I remember that game against the Jets where he got a sprained ankle and was out for multiple weeks. I mean, basically half the roster of the 49ers went down between Bosa and their other excellent defensive linemen. They both tore their ACLs that day. And Jimmy Garoppolo sprained his ankle, but that's okay. It's elementary because he beat the Jets, who are even fully manned, are not very good. They were not very good last year. And I say that as a Jets fan, too.
Yeah. I sympathize with you for being a fan of teams right now that are not doing very well. Mind you, I can't really speak.
Well, I tend to balance it out with being a Yankees fan, but even they're doing terrible right now. So I don't know if they're. I don't even know if they're redeemable at this point. But it's April though, so I'm not too worried. But at the same time, I'm going, what? When are you gonna pick it? We're gonna pick things up. So
yeah, I wouldn't be too worried yet.
All right. So I think right before we end things here, Jason, what I'm going to do is do a quick shout out to one of our partners at BELLYUPSports.com. It's Invader Coffee. And of course, this episode of Run for the Weekend is brought to you by Invader Coffee. The coffee lover who wants good quality coffee with no BS and no filler. Invader Coffee is an ultra premium veteran owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard earned money can buy. They aim only to serve the highest quality organic air roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. Best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and you get 15% off your order. So get some quality coffee, 15% off. It's awesome.
Nice.
We might as well end this episode with the Doug Flutie Miracle in Miami. So let's go ahead and play that clip. I remember that because I was about 6 or 7 years old when that happened.
The previous greatest touchdown pass in history.
Yes, one of the previous greatest touchdown pass in NCAA history. Actually, let me go ahead and share the screen, share audio. I keep forgetting to share audio. All right, here we go.
3 wide receivers out to the right.
Back to pass.
Flutie flushed. Throws it.
And of course, Doug Flutie, who went on to become one of the greatest CFL quarterbacks in CFL history.
Yeah.
There it is. Launches a literal bomb 65 yards down the field. He won the Heisman based on that throw.
He threw it into the end zone. There was no time left on the clock. The ball went between 2 defensive backs of Miami.
I want to watch it again.
Flutie flushed. Throws it down. Caught by Boston College.
Now, Jason, who was the receiver who
Miami
caught that
Eagles
pass? Do you
win
remember
it.
his name?
I was actually just going to ask you that because that was actually an amazing pass to have the concentration to have that ball go through those defenders like that and still come up with that catch is pretty good. I have no idea who it was.
That was his roommate, Gerald Phelan.
You think they
his
talked
roommate
about
in
that?
college.
You think they talked about that before the game? If it comes down to the last play, we're going with a Hail Mary.
Yep. All right. Before we take off, Jason, where can people find you on Twitter? Where can they find your podcast? One more time, just to remind the people out there. Floor is yours for promo.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and also now on TikTok using the handle that's right there on the screen, Puck and Pigskin. You can find my YouTube channel. Just search up Puck and Pigskin podcast, and you can find me on Facebook.
All right. Jason, thanks again for joining me on a Sunday Funday edition of Around for the Weekend. I appreciate it. Again, check out his stuff. It's fun stuff.
This is great stuff. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, right? All right. Well, thanks again, Jason. I really do appreciate your time. Hope the snow melts pretty soon up in Canada, up in Alberta. Don't send it here. We've had enough here in New York State.
I can imagine.
Well, last year it snowed in May. I don't know if you know that. So.
Oh wow!
It
always snows in May here.
Well, on the day of my virtual, I was graduating from college. Actually, it's funny. I was graduating, get my degree. We did a virtual. I earned my degree last year, my bachelor's degree last year, and instead of going to the actual school, which is in Virginia, to walk the stage and everything, they had a virtual celebration. So that day, overnight, it snowed. And I'm like, all right, God's throwing me confetti. This is awesome. But anywho. Thanks again for joining us, our friends. Jason, appreciate your time, taking some time today from your busy schedule to jump on and hop on with Around for the Weekend. Again, we'll probably see you on our usual Friday slate at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, go watch that video I'll post the link on my Twitter page where you can find my appearance in the Rod Peterson Show. It's a fun time. I'm hoping for some pizza pops. Send them. Send them my way. All right. Thanks, folks. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, Ryan.